in presentation mode?
Yes, here we go. So I'm going basically to repeat all the 1 hour and a half we have spent so far together has been extremely informative because everything we have said, Guy have said, and the others, we have experienced it in reality also in the CGIAR. We need to develop demand-driven impact pathways that are leading research innovations to the big SDG. And we have seen in RTB, in the CGIAR program on roast tubers and bananas, also on the work that we do at the Alliance of Bioversity and CIAT, that we have very short-term impact pathways that are leading technologies to productivity gains and to reduction of poverty. And those pathways are easy to measure, easy to monitor. There are not many co-funding factors that has to be taken into consideration during the analysis, but the complexity arises when we want to follow those impact pathways that are not so short-term and direct, but are following routes that are intricated. And this is especially the case if we want to analyze the impact of innovations and technologies on natural resource management or on the environment or on outcomes that do not have monetary values. So the classical return on investment analysis cannot always be applicable. So the development of those long-term and intricate impact pathways has implications not only in developing clear and sound monitoring and evaluation framework, a strategic monitoring framework that are letting us understand not only the pathway of one innovations, but also how the interactions of different innovations are contributing to the outcome and to the impact. And we need to understand what are not only the big lag indicators that we want to measure, but also what are the small leading indicators to the big change. And we also need to develop a credible theory of changes in support of the impact pathways that are letting us understand the how this change is happening, how these innovations are uptaken and scaled up. What is the science of scaling? There is a new research portfolio that is actually starting once the technology and the innovation is released. Whatever innovation we are talking here about, the development of an improved varieties or best practices around pest and disease management. So what is the journey that starts? What are the actors that are involved along the journey, and what is the relationship of these actors? We need to understand whether there are bottlenecks that might hindering the advancement of the technology along the impact pathways, and mostly we need to understand what are the transmission channels that are enabling the advancement along the impact pathway. So those are all elements that, in my opinion, are needed if we really want to link research innovations to big development outcomes, and that we need to that we need to monitor. So how this can be done? We need to develop an evidence-based system. So we need to be systematic in collecting whatever informations and evidence we have of the technologies, and we need to, and through this evidence, we need to channel these technologies and innovation along the intricate impact pathways that are going beyond beyond the project life cycle, because here we are talking about funding of innovations and technologies that most likely will have an impact once the project is over, once we have stepped out from the field and there are other actors coming in. So somehow we need to track back all this journey, and therefore the importance of having a strategic results framework that is enabling us to understand this. And then we also have to understand what are the stage gating technologies and innovations that are mature enough for being scaled out and really analyze their contribution to the high level impact. Not all innovations have the same degree of maturity, and not all innovations are contributing at the same level to the big impact outcome. And therefore, we need to understand also what are the nested theory of changes across these innovations and how they interact among each other. And again, and what are the actors that then can scale them up so that we can really measure impact. So these are my key messages that I wanted to reiterate to you all, because I think are key messages that we need to keep in mind. So the importance of having a sound strategic results framework with a clear monitoring system, monitoring indicators, measure indicators, but also using prioritizations and scenario settings for foresight analysis that can also help us guiding those innovations along impact pathways. So it's really, for me, it's the interactions of three major functions around priority setting and foresight analysis of innovations, monitoring on innovation and assessing the impact of innovations. So learning is happening across these three functions and are enabling us, the interactions of these three functions are enabling us to measure impact in the long terms. Over to you, Elena.
Thank you, Elisabetta. Also a question for you. In the impact pathway of bringing research into use, supporting innovation, supporting impact, where in the research process or along the impact pathway do you see a role for non-academic actors if we think about a multi-actor approach? Can you say something about that? How can other actors feed into your impact pathway, or where do they appear?
Since the beginning, I think the paradigm of scientists bringing the innovation on their own, it's over. So the importance of co-designing those innovations based on the demand, on the need that are out there, I think it's key. I see also, this is related to what my colleague at FAO was saying before. Another must to have now along these impact pathways is the need of multidisciplinary interactions across us. So it's not anymore the economist assessing the impact of a technology, but is or the genetist developing the improved varieties to be distributed, but is really the interaction with farmers associations, with anthropologists, with economists, with sociologists, and understanding what's the best way of presenting the new technologies. So for me, the partners are now key actors since the beginning of the development of the research innovation. Otherwise, we will get always stop at the, once the grant is over, 10 journal articles published, and we all forget. We move somewhere else, new projects, new activities, and we forget the innovations that actually are there but needs to be pushed and promoted.
Thank you.